Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. It is Sunday, March 25th, 2018, and I am starting you out here on my landing page. And the reason I am doing so is because I want to show you this is our last video from March 24th. This covers the latest QAnon posts. There are 3 of them. We are going to talk about them today. More importantly, we are going to talk about some related theories regarding these posts. And then we are going to try and draw a summary and see if we can find anything that ties it all together. That is the goal. Okay. Now, before I get started on this, I want you to understand something very, very clearly. There are lots of different directions that these Q posts can go in. And there's lots of details. There's lots of minutia that we can debate all day long. You may be right, you may be wrong, and you may be somewhere in between. But what's more important that I submit to you is that we stick to a narrative and we try and find an end goal to all of this. Now, we can debate a lot of details, but what's more important is what is Q trying to get us to rally behind. Pretty soon, we are going to find ourselves in the mainstream media, probably being ridiculed and discredited. And if we are debating about colors of castles, or zeros and pluses, we may be missing the point, and we won't be able to share our message with the masses. That being said, we're going to get started on these Q posts. And just stick with me here. We've got lots to work on. Gonna mostly work on Q's last post from March 23rd. This is 1:14 Eastern Time. Q says clock activated. Red castle, green castle, stage _5, 5, and in brackets we have a Y. Now, most of the video, I would like to talk a little bit about this castle idea. But first, let me mention that there's been a few of my radio operators that have been talking to me that says 5-5 could be alluding to loud and clear, meaning optimal volume and optimal clarity being a 5. 5-5, I read you out loud and clear. Now we have a reference to President Trump back at the White House holding a piece of paper that said 5 of 5, and there was the whole thing, I hear you. Well, that could be it, and maybe it's loud and clear. So anyway, thank you for that, for those who have offered that up. And before we get into red castle, green castle, I just want to touch on this little Y and where it comes from. Okay, so let's take you down here to November 9th. We had a message, and we talked about this in my last post, and I'm so sorry, I skipped the I. I meant to say CIA is here, not CA is here. Maybe I'm just missing California, who knows. But I want to take you all the way down here. This is where you'll see the Y where it says pray, and we have find the keystone. Okay, so the keystone is going to be relevant also. Now, we also have a lot of posts regarding the keystone. I'm not going to show you here on the Q map, but if you just basically go up here and search keystone, you're going to find all the relevant information. Okay, so let's go to the post. Let's talk about castling. There have been many people who are talking about castling and its relation to the game of chess. So if we type in chess, we will see lots of different references. Obviously, we're not going to cover them all, but obviously Q wants us to know something about chess. So many people are talking about the idea of the move of castling in chess. What is castling? I'm going to show you here. This is chesscorner.com, and we're not going to go deep into this. It could be a reference to a political move. There is a theory about a famous chess match in which the person that was losing used this move in order to win. It's usually kind of a desperation move. It's definitely sort of a defensive move. And so there's a lot of theories relating to that. Not going into that, just showing you that this is what the theory is. And I want you to know what the move is so you can understand it in relation to context when you're hearing about it. Okay, here's the diagram here. We have the black team against the white team, and we're going to highlight mostly here where you can see my cursor. This is the white king. The white king is exposed. There are no pawns in front of it. There are no pieces on the side. Now, what this website is trying to show you is that it's not really important what pieces are in here. Excuse me. It shows that the king is exposed. So let's just say, for hyperbole, there could be any arrangement of pieces here. Once a game, the king is allowed to make a move called castling, in which they will take their position and exchange it with the rooks in the middle. Now, what needs to be happening here is there can't be any pieces in between on this side or on that side. You will not be able to execute this move with a piece in between. So as you can see now, they have met in the middle, but they've exchanged sides. Okay, this allows the rook right here to protect the king in a defensive situation. And sometimes it can be, in this particular famous chess match that these people are referring to, it was a very strategic move that won him the match. Here you can see that move being done on the other side. Now, I'm not going to go deep into that, but for the people that are talking about that, when they refer to that, if you want to know what castling is, there you go. Okay, now, in regards to the Keystone, there have been a lot of people talking about the Senior Executive Service. The Senior Executive Service, SES, is a position classification in the civil service, keep that in mind, civil service of the United States federal government, somewhat analogous to general officer or flag officer ranks in the U.S. Armed Forces. It was created in 1979 when the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978 went into effect under President Jimmy Carter. Now, I don't want to get much into that, but there's a lot to be said in the Service Reform Act of 1978. A lot of important details. Keep in mind, it's a civil service, but it's kind of like being an officer, which is already interesting in itself. Their logo is the Keystone, and this is a Keystone. What is a Keystone? Well, I'm not going to show you a bunch of links or anything. I'll just kind of give you the Keystone for Dummies quick version, I guess. But essentially, this goes back to Masonics, the Masons, when they were building buildings and they wanted to build arches as opposed to just regular old doorways, and it was beautiful, and it was sort of a trade secret, and this Keystone was sort of the key to that, and it's sort of become a metaphor for a lot of things, but this is the piece that holds the archway together, and the brilliance of it is that when it sits in, it actually creates more pressure, making it an incredibly strong structure. So there you have it. There's the Keystone. The reason I'm not going to go into this SES theory is because already so many other channels have done that, and I think it's important to just let them explain it better than I. I'm just offering up some different ideas again, okay? So don't assume that I don't know anything about this or anything. I'm just letting you know that this is one direction if you choose to take it. Okay, let me take you to another Keystone theory. Military.wikia.com. This is the 28th Infantry Division of the United States. It is a unit of Army National Guard and is the oldest division-sized unit in the armed forces of the United States. The division was officially established in 1879 and was later redesignated as the 28th Division in 1917 after the entry of America into the First World War. It continues its service today as part of the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. It is nicknamed the Keystone Division, as it was formed from units of the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Pennsylvania is known as the Keystone State. It was also nicknamed the Bloody Bucket Division by German forces during the Second World War due to its red insignia, which is a keystone. The 28th is the first Army National Guard division to field the Stryker infantry fighting vehicle as part of the Army's reorganization in the first decade of the 2000s. Okay, so I'm going to get off of that. Now, yesterday I took you here to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and I think this will be very, very relevant. This is Keystone Lake. Keystone Lake was named after the community of Keystone, a post office from 1900 to 1962. And I'm sorry, yesterday I mentioned that it was on the Arkansas River, but it's not in Arkansas. It's on the Arkansas River, the junction of the Cimarron and Arkansas rivers. It's actually in Tulsa, near Tulsa. Okay? Now, the Keystone Lake was built by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which incidentally has a red castle. Now, you could say it's a white castle and a red insignia, but let's be fair, it's close, okay? Just saying it's close. Again, this is the minutia. Now, it could be wrong. It might not be the red castle we're looking for, but stay with me here. So, keep in mind, we have a lot of ties with keystones and castles, and they're all coming back to the U.S. Army, okay? Now, let me take you over here. I took you here yesterday as well. The countyoffice.org, Greencastle Army Corps of Engineers in Greencastle, Indiana. Okay, this is just their landing page, but I want to show you that here is an engineer corps related to the Army in Greencastle. Over here, we have an engineering corps related to the Army, represented by a castle. Now, whether or not it's a red castle or a white castle, you have to argue. There is red in the logo. Incidentally, if you go on their website, there's a big picture of all the guys painting a red castle, not a white castle, painting a red castle. Anyway, so we're moving on. So what do these guys do? They build stuff, right? We said yesterday they build stuff. Keystone, they build stuff. They build dams, they build pipes. What are they building? Well, I can tell you one thing that the Green Castle Army Corps builds, and what they build very well. They build pipelines. They build pipelines. Remember that. They build pipelines. Now, incidentally, in my search, I want to take you over here to redcastlesolutions.llc.com. That's Red Castle, right? But this doesn't look like the Army. This doesn't look like the Army. Got some nice archways in there, though. They are a design company. Got some nice archways there. It's disabled veteran owned. Interesting indeed. Well, they build medical facilities and things like that. They build a lot of things. I'll show you a few things. But really, I want to show you. Here you go. Red Castle Solutions hires experts who share our passion for the design and execution. Our staff will oversee the project from initial consultation to final activation. We don't rest until you're delighted. This is Jim Horne. Hi, Jim. Chief Executive Officer. Jim began his career while in the U.S. Army, serving 25 years active duty as an engineer, which included 5 combat tours and assignments all over the world. He is a service-disabled veteran and has received awards such as the Legion of Merit, Bronze Star, numerous meritorious service medals, and Army commendations. Upon retirement, Jim worked for the Corps of Engineers in the Little Rock District, holding various positions ranging from project coordinator, project manager, to finally the initial outfitting program manager. Prior to the start of RCS, Jim worked for Human Scale as a DoD sales manager. Interestingly enough, so here we have another engineer related to the Army. His company is called Red Castle Solutions, LLC. Well, let's look here again at Jim Horne. This is his LinkedIn page. And again, so we can see CEO of Red Castle Solutions. All right. Nothing fancy here, just a LinkedIn page. When we scroll down here, this is his experience, by the way. He's currently at Red Castle Solutions. He used to work with the DoD, as it said. Oh, looky here. Looky here. From 2010 to 2016, 6 years, 3 months, Little Rock, Arkansas, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Dun, dun, dun. Moving on. I want to take you over here to Green Castle. Green Castle Solutions, Green Castle Consultings, who we are. Green Castle Consultants are agents of change. Our people have the skill and experience necessary to assume leadership and take responsibility for the success of what? Large-scale projects and business initiatives. Founded by U.S. Army Rangers in 1997, Green Castle specializes in bringing a sense of purpose to the task of furthering the missions of your organization. We realize the potential of change through discipline, teamwork, innovation, and systematic methods. With loyalty and integrity as our compass, we partner with organizations to complement the existing expertise and passions of your teams. Well, what are they? Well, they're engineering solutions. Green Castle. Okay. So I think I've shown you a lot of connections here. Red Castle, Green Castle. Irregardless, it's connected to the Army. It's connected to the military. And it's connected to engineering. Well, what did we say that all these things do? What do these groups do? Green Castle and Red Castle for the Army. What do they do? Well, I said they build pipelines. What pipelines could we possibly be talking about? Could we be talking about the Keystone Pipeline? I'm going to take you back here to January 24th, 2017, Presidential Memorandum regarding construction of the Keystone XL Pipeline. Now, I'm not going to read this. I will link it to you. I'm not going to read it, just showing to you that this is what it is. All right. Over here on CNN.com, Keystone and Dakota Access Pipelines. How did we get here? This is the next day on January 25th, 2017. With one swipe of the presidential pen, the Dakota Access and Keystone XL pipelines were back on the agenda, marking the realization of protesters' worst fears about what a Donald Trump presidency means for the environment and the controversial energy projects. So I'm not going to go into this, but we all know this. Trump signed this into he signed this Keystone XL pipeline. It's been a very controversial pipeline, to say the least. Well, who's going to build this pipeline? Who would build this pipeline? Well, let's see. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers approved the project and granted final permits in July to the dismay of environmentalists in the Standing Rock Sioux. That's right, the tribe quickly sued the Corps, claiming the pipeline threatens its environmental and economic well-being and would damage and destroy sites of great historic, religious, and cultural significance. Well, this is indeed something to behold here, because they sure did. They protested quite a bit. And again, we're here on the Washington Post on the same day, January 24th, 2017. And again, echoing the same sentiments here. I am very insistent that if we're going to build pipelines in the United States, the pipes should be made in the United States, he told reporters, he being Mr. Donald Trump. Okay, so I wanted to show you on this article here on the Washington Post. The Standing Rock Sioux tribe and other Native American groups have been protesting the project, which they say would imperil their water supplies and disturb sacred burial and archaeological sites. The Army Corps of Engineers called a halt to the project in December to consider alternative routes. Well, this is interesting indeed. Okay, there was a lot of protests, right? They didn't want the Army in there. They didn't want them doing that. Well, would this be connected? Would this Army Corps be our Red Castle group that would be doing this? It wouldn't be the same group, would it? Indeed it would. Indeed it would. Here it is. Here are the frequently asked questions regarding the very Dakota pipeline. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Okay, we're not going to stay on this. I want to keep on moving. Let's talk about the Native Americans. We're on Indian Country Media Network today. And this is from January 27th, 2014, just a few days after this KeyStone Memorandum. Will Keystone XL pipeline pump sexual violence into South Dakota? The human devastation wrought by the economic energy boom in the Great Plains region may get worse for Native women. This nightmare, according to Keith Darling Burgess, has created a culture of misogyny in which sexual violence includes rape, sex trafficking, and domestic assault are normalized. It has been described as a male-dominated dystopian nightmare. That description is especially ominous for Native women, who are 2.5 times more likely to be victims of sexual violence than women of other races. The perpetrators of this violence are overwhelmingly non-Native. Native advocates are predicting a similar fallout for women in South Dakota if the Trans-Canada Keystone XL pipeline is approved. Trans-Canada plans to house pipeline construction workers in 3 rural man camps, located close to reservations in South Dakota. Each camp will house approximately 1,000 workers. Okay, I don't want to go into this. There's a lot of articles regarding human pipeline and these camps. And basically, I want to sum up what's kind of happening. Is you had the conservatives have really been pushing this pipeline, and Democrats have really been kind of pushing against it. However, meanwhile, they've been kind of stalwarting this whole project, and it's sort of been an ugly stain recently. We are on the Herald Media, and this is January 29th, 2015. The Republican-controlled Senate on Thursday approved a bipartisan bill to construct the Keystone XL oil pipeline, defying a presidential veto threat and setting up the first of many battles with the White House over energy and the environment. The 62-36 vote advanced the top priority of the newly empowered GOP and marked the first time the Senate passed a bill authorizing the pipeline, despite numerous attempts to force President Barack Obama's hand on the issue. 9 Democrats joined, with 53 Republicans to back the measure. Okay, so some interesting things here. Obama was very, very against this thing. And it's garnered a lot of attention. There's been a lot of protests. Now, we're starting to see some connections here, and I don't want to go into a ton of articles. I just want to tie up the general narrative with human trafficking happening at these camps. A lot of these independent companies are being contracted to build this pipeline, and it's not really getting done. Well, how is that money getting spent? Let me show you something real quick. SputnikNews.com, and we are back at January 22nd, 2015. According to former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Energy and head of Rice's University Energy and Environment Initiative, Chuck McConnell, the Keystone XL pipeline project will be developed into an omnibus bill. Interesting. So this was actually part of Obama's omnibus, and what they were doing were essentially hiring out to build this pipeline. During his State of the Union address on Tuesday, U.S. President Barack Obama urged U.S. Congress to pass a bipartisan infrastructure plan that could create more jobs than the current Keystone XL pipeline bill. Okay, so Obama wasn't necessarily against the pipeline. He just wanted to get some different groups in on it. You understand what I'm saying there? I don't want to go into this. I'll make it too long of a video. You can look at this article for yourself. But I just want to introduce you. What would Obama's motive be for privatizing that? That would privatize a lot of groups of manpower in these camps, which have been related to a lot of abuse. You see where I'm going with this? Could it be possible that our Red Castle and Green Castle is giving a green light and setting a stage to build this pipeline? Now, regardless of how you feel about the economic fallout of this pipeline, which there's really very little, there clearly is a debate as to the environmental repercussions, the effect on the Native Americans. It's something that we all need to consider. Could it be that by getting the U.S. Army and their contractors to come in and do this, that it actually could get done, as opposed to hiring private contracts that basically stall the project forever and ever, meanwhile pumping money into it, abusing, trafficking humans, and at the same time projecting that narrative onto the other side that's trying to accomplish it. Just a theory. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you today. As always, you are welcome to comment and tell me that I'm completely full of it, or whatever you want to tell me. Just please be nice, and be nice to each other down there, okay? As always, if you like this video, please click like, please click share, please click subscribe, and do all that. I really appreciate you listening. I appreciate all of you and all of your comments. Thank you so much. If any new Q posts come up, I will let you know. Or if any really, really pressing news comes up, I will be on it. Until then, stay cool. Stay warm if you're cold. This is Sir Patrick Mack with In Pursuit of Truth.